morning. I'm Betty Derry. Oh, my name is Betty Derry, and it is my honor to introduce you to the mayor of this South Columbia, Mr. Mayor Bowser, Muriel Bowser. You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm really delighted to be here with you in the heart of Ward 4, and I am pleased to meet the Derrys and welcome them back home. Many of you will remember a really, really bad fire here where many people lost their homes almost 2 years ago. I want to recognize our council member, Brandon Todd, is here, Fire Chief Gregory Dean, and members of the DC Fire and Emergency Medical Service. Please give them a big welcome. I also want to recognize members of our Department of Human Services team who have worked really hard to make sure that we were able, during the crisis, the immediate crisis, to support our residents and work with the property owner, the Borger Management Company. So thank you, Tom, and your team also for your support here. We remember that morning very well. It was in the early hours. Chief Dean and his crew responded to the scene here at Rolling Terrace. They evacuated residents, many of whom were rescued by ladders or escorted blindly through smoke-filled corridors and stairwells. And we too frequently don't think about fire and emergency medical services, because the truth is most of us won't ever have to call 911 for their support. But I want you to know how brave our men and women were in responding to this fire and securing the safety of dozens of DC residents. So please give them another big round of applause. So today we are celebrating that many of our residents are coming back. After Fire and EMS did their work, the Department of Human Services, the Office of the Tenant Advocate, and we've been joined by the Tenant Advocate, Johanna Shreve, the Red Cross, and many community partners stepped in to take over. They led the reunification efforts, got residents into emergency housing, and quickly ensured that everyone had the medical and pharmaceutical needs met. So 2 years later, we know that many families are happy where they are currently housed, but we also know that they have the option now to return to their homes here at Rolling Terrace. We welcome and celebrate the first of the families that will return beginning July 1st. In the coming weeks, many more families will have the option to do the same. Again, I want to thank Tom Borger and the rest of the Borger management team for keeping their promise, for not only making the investments necessary to complete the rehabilitation and renovation of this property, but also keeping the same market rate rent from 2 years ago. So thank you, Tom and team. That's a true fair shot, and we are really proud to see so many members of the community doing the same. So with that, I also want to recognize that we've been joined by our Director of DCRA, Ernest Chopra, and I want to introduce Councilmember Brandon Todd.
Good morning, everyone. This is a really, really exciting morning for residents here in Brightwood, and I want to thank the Borger Management Company. I want to thank the Department of Human Services. I want to thank the Office of the Tenant Advocate, led by Mrs. Johanna Shreve, and I want to recognize Monica Golatani, the President of the Brightwood Community Association, Fire Chief Dean, and all of our first responders from 2 years ago. Let's give them all a big round of applause. But I think one of the most important acknowledgments probably should go to the Derrys, Mr. and Mrs. Derry, who lived in this building for 36 years, and 2 years after a devastating fire, they will have the opportunity to return home. So let's give Mr. and Mrs. Derry a big round of applause. I remember very vividly, as the mayor said, 2 years ago, I got a telephone call from the chief and then from someone from the mayor's office, and I came right to this location with my staff to see hundreds of residents being escorted out of their home, literally watching all of their belongings go up into flames. And I must say that I was so proud of the response of our government, of our Office of Tenant Advocate, of the Executive Office of the Mayor, of the Borger Management Company, for everyone responding to figure out how we would get the residents housed as quickly as possible. Borger Management was really committed to making sure that they made a $12 million investment to allow residents who lost everything 2 years ago have the opportunity to come back to beautiful homes, and their rents will remain affordable. So on behalf of the residents of Ward 4, I'm just filled with gratitude for the government responding so well and working with our private partners to make sure that families like the Derrys can call Rolling Terrace home once again. So congratulations. I look forward to visiting here many times, and I know we look forward to welcoming all of the families back. And I believe next up is Mr. Thomas Borger.
Before I make a few comments, I think Ms. Derry would like to have a few words. Come on. I think you wanted to say a few words to everybody about your experiences here.
Well, I'm just happy to be back again. It was terrible. We lost everything in the fire, but I'm happy that we returned back to our home again, and I feel like I'm alive again because I went through a lot. And I thank you all for your prayers and for everything you've done to me. And thank you for the robe and the blanket you gave me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
23 months ago, I get a cell phone call at 6:30 in the morning from the mayor, and followed by a phone call from her chief of staff. The fire had started 3 or 4 hours earlier, and already Mayor Bowser was on the phone to me. And I told her right then that she could count on our company, that we were going to do the right thing by her, by the residents, and for the city. But nothing would have happened if it hadn't been for one person who's here, who's never been mentioned, and that's Franklin Paulson. For you that don't know, Frank has been the general partner of this building for over 35 years. And I knew that Frank, a lifelong D.C. resident, would make the financial commitment, and he would backstop any representation Ariana Royster, Gloria Dunbar, or any of us made, that Frank was going to stand by us. And when the insurance proceeds were drastically short of what it was going to cost to restore, Frank and his partners stepped up to the plate, got the money, and this is the result of Frank's absolute integrity and devotion to making this right. And one of his partners is here, Mildred Friedman. Mildred's been a partner in this building for over 35 years as well. So I'd like to give a round of applause to Frank Paulson. Where are you, Frank? Frank, come on, stand up. To Frank Paulson and all he did for this building. And now I believe we're going to have a ribbon cutting. I'm sure you'll do the honors. We have a ribbon. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Hold on one time.
Not yet.
Hold on.
Excuse me.
Okay. Ms. Friedman, come on in.
Big scissors, huh?
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome home.
Clear, Sean? Sean, we clear?
Yeah.